Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome to the first episode of Season 5, the Christmas season of Who'd Win and Why. You see that I got my little Santa hat, and obviously, the lighting isn't as dark as it was in the Halloween season, but this is the Christmas season, so I'll probably just be wearing the hat for at least most of the episodes, unless you guys don't like it, like you didn't like with the costume, how I stopped wearing that after, like, the first episode of the Halloween season. But I think it's fine. It's not. I don't feel it's really that distracting. Maybe it is. I don't really know. But if you guys don't like it, tell me in the comments below. Obviously. But I just thought it'd be nice to wear just for this one season. But anyway, let's get on to this episode. So this time we got Mr. Freeze going up against Captain Cold. Now these two characters are very similar. They're both pretty much known for shooting ice, even though their personalities or their character isn't really that similar to the other characters. They both pretty much do the same thing, which is shoot ice. And these two characters have been compared to a lot, but which one can dish out more damage and which one can take it? Let's figure that out. So this is the Who'd Win and Why first episode, Captain Cold versus Mr. Freeze, or Mr. Freeze versus Captain Cold. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out. Now, I'm assuming that this episode is probably going to be a bit shorter than most of my other episodes, considering that there isn't that much to go over for these characters. So let's go over Mr. Freeze first. So Mr. Freeze, obviously, he has a freezing gun. It's very powerful. I believe that when it hits, it actually has enough force to, push back multiple cars flying in different directions, which is very powerful, considering he's pretty much only working with ice. So yeah, it shoots out ice. The ice is very cold. It approaches absolute zero. It doesn't quite get there, but it does approach it, so that's pretty freaking cold if you ask me. So yeah, he's used his gun. He pretty much, I wouldn't want to say he's over-reliant on his gun, because he does have superhuman strength and durability to back him up in case, he loses it or whatever, but generally, that's what he likes to use most often. He doesn't use his strength to his advantage that much in actual combat. His durability, obviously, he has to if he's taking a punch, but it's like he doesn't go a lot of fist-to-fist fights. He doesn't do that a lot. He just uses his cold gun, and that's what he prefers to use, and that's what he can use at his best. So yes, he does use his cold gun. He only has one of them, unlike Captain Cold, but I'll get to that later. So yeah, his cold gun is extremely powerful, able to push back multiple cars, and it is extremely cold, obviously. So Mr. Freeze's suit is actually due to his condition. It's actually something that he needs in order to stay alive, because his suit allows him to stay at below his own body temperature, to stay at below 0 degrees Celsius, I believe. And if it doesn't, or if the suit breaks, then he will eventually die. I forget the name of the disease that he has, or if it should even be classified as a disease, but regardless, that's what his suit does. It actually provides him to keep going. It's basically what he needs to do to survive, meaning if the suit does get damaged in any way, it is quite possible for him to not be moving on anymore, but you guys get the point. So, yes, he is extremely strong, extremely durable. He's not particularly fast, because he doesn't have, superhuman strength, speed, or durability. Well, he does have superhuman strength and durability, but it's not like he gets that all in one package. So, he's not really all that good in the speed department. When you see, generally, he's just walking down the street and, using his freeze gun. So, speed is not really his strong suit when it comes to, reaction time or just running speed, traveling speed. He doesn't do it a lot at very least. So, I can't really say that he is all that fast. Though he has actually fought the Flash, believe it or not, just like Captain Cold there. So yeah, he can obviously, I guess if he wants to be fast, he might be able to, but you guys get what I'm saying. He's not particularly known for his speed. So yeah, he is also extremely smart. When it comes to strategy, sometimes he uses strategy, but generally his smarts come from because I believe he has PhDs and he's bilingual. So when it comes to as you'd like to say, book smarts, he's really smart in those kinds of areas. When it comes to strategy, again, he can strategize, but that's not what he's mainly known for. But he is you could almost call him a genius when it comes to languages and everything like that. And when it comes to even cryogenetics, which if you didn't know is that relates to what he does, freezing. So that's pretty cool. So generally what he does is he fights Batman. He hasn't fought that many other characters in the past. Like I said, he has fought Flash, but he hasn't fought a whole range of characters as opposed to someone like the Joker. So he is pretty one-dimensional when it comes to who he fights, though he is still a force to be reckoned with. Like I said, he does have superhuman durability. It is hard to put this guy down, and he does have a very powerful freeze gun that you're not going to want to get hit with, because it will freeze you into an ice block. Like I said, it does not actually reach absolute zero, but it is still very cold, and it is very powerful, so it is not something that you want to mess with. So like I said, I think this episode is going to be a bit shorter because there isn't that much to go over with these characters, but now let's move on to Captain Cold. Now, Captain Cold, when he was a child, I believe he became fond of ice because his father, ran an ice cream truck or something, and then he became, when he decided to turn to a life of crime, he decided to give it his own icy twist, so that's why he has his cold guns. So now he actually has 2 cold guns, and both of them reach absolute zero temperatures. Meaning, it's the coldest it can get, and in fact, he's the only, according to Mr. Freeze himself, he is the only, character in the DC Universe that has actually been able to master absolute zero, and this is something he admitted to the Flash while he was fighting him, and that's something impressive. If you're the only person to actually reach absolute zero temperature technology, that's pretty impressive. Now, Captain Cold doesn't have, superhuman strength, speed, or durability, or anything like that. He can be considered to be over-reliant on his tech, maybe even more so than Mr. Freeze. He uses his cold guns a lot, though he is able to do some pretty amazing things with them. Some of the feats include standing up to Superman's heat vision for a little bit of time. Not forever, but still, just even for, maybe even, approaching a minute. That's pretty impressive. His cold gun, his ice does not get melted by Heatwave's heat blaster or whatever he has. He can shoot bullets out of the air before they hit him, which is faster than the speed of sound reflexes. He's so accurate, he's able to shoot ice through the barrel of a gun, which, if you're thinking about that, that's near Green Arrow level accuracy when you're talking about a guy with a bow and an arrow. So that's very impressive. So his cold guns are extremely powerful. Oh, another thing about both Mr. Freeze and Captain Cold, apparently they both have this thing called a cold field, which is the thing where, I think it's they use their ice to, slow down enemies or even just completely freeze them in their tracks. I don't really know exactly how it works, but it's just something, again, it's something that relates to their tech. It's just more when it comes to, cold and stuff like that. So, yeah, Captain Cold's cold field, in particular, has actually been, it's powerful enough to make enemies freeze in their tracks, and the only people that are not affected by it, or at least not affected as much, are the Flashes, and even them, they're slowed down significantly when they get hit by it. That's very impressive, and, Captain Cold is able to tag both Barry Allen and Wally West while they're running. I don't want to say that, oh, they're running at, light speed or whatever during, each time that he hits them, but, maybe they are at some points or another, but the point is, regardless, it's still the Flash, he's at the very least traveling many times faster than the speed of sound, at very least, when that's happening, which, again, is still very, very impressive. Something, when it comes to speed and accuracy. Now, while Captain Cold doesn't have any superhuman abilities, he has been shown to be quite fast. Like I said, his quick draw is fast enough to shoot bullets out of the air, as they're coming towards him, and he's even able to dodge Heatwave while he's blasting fire at him. So, he has had experience actually fighting characters that have, blasters or, just stuff that, range projectiles, like a freeze gun or a heat gun in this case, I guess. So, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like I said, he's not superhumanly fast, obviously not, but he is still, he is still pretty fast, just on his feet. So, again, like I said, he doesn't have any superhuman strength or durability or anything like that. His Eskimo suit can protect him from, some cold, but let's be real, it's not going to protect him from, anything that, Mr. Freeze throws at him. Let's be real. And also, he is the leader of his Rogues Gallery. His main weakness, I'd say, is that sometimes he relies too much on his Rogues Gallery in order to get him out of jams. Generally, whenever he's fighting the Flash, he does have at least, sometimes he has Heatwave with him, but sometimes he has a whole team of Weather Wizard, Trickster, other members of the Rogues Gallery, I guess, and sometimes he has to rely on them. But you also have to remember that he is also the leader of this group. But then you also have to remember that generally his best robberies or whatever, which is what he's most known for, and the Flash really just gets in the way. His robberies are generally based on prep time, which is something that obviously we're not allowing in here. But that can. If it's a one-on-one scenario, obviously he'll still be armed with his 2 cold guns, but he won't be, although he has been shown to make decisions in the heat of battle, because he is a good tactician as well, as a strategist. But, sometimes strategy is where he is one of his best qualities, just being able to strategize, especially with the help of his fellow teammates. So guys, I think that's really all I have to say about these two characters. Now, I wanted to film this video a while ago. I think I had the time to film it on Wednesday, and today's Friday. I think I had time to film it on Wednesday, but I didn't film it. And I didn't film it because I was going back and forth between this one. These two characters are very similar. They both have cold guns, they both have some sort of resistance to it, and they both have fair experience when it comes to fighting who they generally fight, Batman and Flash. So, and you know, and Captain Cold does predate Mr. Freeze by only about 3 years. So they are very similar when it comes to like how long they've actually, like how much comic time they've had. So it is very hard to say who would win this fight. They both have similar feats, well, feats maybe, but you know, like similar abilities and just what they can do. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. When I first heard about this matchup, my mind just immediately went to Mr. Freeze winning. Because Mr. Freeze is a more popular character, which means he might have a bit more comic time than Captain Cold does. But not only that, he, like, his suit gives him, like, it basically allows his body temperature to stay cold, meaning that he would be resistant to some of Captain Cold's attacks. You guys know what I mean, you know, just the durability. He would be resistant to some of Captain Cold's attacks. And he is stronger, he looks more durable, you know, he looks stronger. And I'm just thinking, you know, Captain Cold is just like a robber with some cold guns, you know. That probably doesn't stack up to what Mr. Freeze can do. However, after looking through and doing some research of my own and just considering everything, while I believe this fight could go either way, I'm actually going to give this one to Captain Cold. And this is where I really have to stress that this is my own opinion. Because I know there's going to be someone in the comments, and it's completely fine if you do this, by the way. But, you know, I know there's going to be someone in the comments that's going to say, nope, you're wrong, you know, Mr. Freeze wins, or, you know, I personally believe Mr. Freeze wins, you know. And that's your opinion. That's obviously perfectly fine. But my opinion is that Captain Cold would win, and let me explain why. So, Captain Cold, first of all, like some of you may be thinking, well, you know, both of them have freeze guns. How do you really judge? You know, both of them can pretty much do the same thing. But you really have to look at the feats and what the properties of the guns are. Remember, as I said, Captain Cold is the only character in the DC universe to actually master absolute zero temperatures through technology. Something that Mr. Freeze himself has admitted while fighting the Flash, and something that he admits that he's just not able to do. Captain Cold has actually even considered Mr. Freeze's cold gun sloppy in the past, meaning that they're both very aware that Captain Cold's technology is just better than Mr. Freeze's. It's not even just that, you know, Captain Cold's quick draw is so fast, he's able to hit Flash, Wally West Flash, like while he's moving, maybe close to the speed of light, who knows. But even if he's not, he's able to shoot bullets out of the air. He's able to make a freaking ice wall before bullets can hit him, before Heat Wave can even hit him or anything like that. He can stand up to Superman's heat vision, and Superman's heat vision can approach temperatures up to the surface of the sun. Maybe even hotter than that. Who knows? Maybe it just depends how much solar energy he has. But, you know, just from those feats alone, you can even tell that Captain Cold just seems to have more more experience when it comes to who he's fought before. And for those of you who are saying Captain Cold should win because, you know, he fights Flash and Mr. Freeze fights Batman, and who would win a fight between Batman and Flash, you know, Flash would win. For those of you who are saying that, that does not decide anything at all. However, obviously it does mean that Captain Cold standing up to Flash is good. It doesn't decide everything. But what was I saying? You know, it's just like it seems like Captain Cold has just fought more characters in the past. He's fought his own teammate Heatwave. He's fought different versions of the Flash. He's fought like the different members of the Flash family, if you want to call it that. And he's fought Superman, maybe with the help of some other supervillains. But the point is, he's still fought a ton of different characters. And while Mr. Freeze has been, while Mr. Freeze has been in the comics many times before, like, he doesn't really do much rather than fight members of the Batman family. Like, let's be real. Captain Cold just seems to be able to, you know, he's fought more characters. And like I said, he has fought Heatwave, as in someone who carries a fire gun. He's fought people that have carried guns that shoot out stuff or whatever before. And Mr. Freeze can't really say the same. Sure, he's fought, like, the crazy, versatile Batman, but still, it's like Captain Cold just seems to, like, have, like, how do I even say this? He seems to have fought more characters than Mr. Freeze has over the years. And like I said, Captain Cold actually has 2 freeze guns. 2 of them that he can shoot extremely fast. And like I said, Mr. Freeze isn't really that fast. He can be if he wants to fight the Flash or something like that, but I didn't even read that entire comic and that I might be wrong when I say that. You know, maybe like I know like he froze like the ground to slip Flash up, but really I don't really know anything else that he did besides that. So you know when if their guns are like going at each other, it's clear that not only is Captain Cold's gun colder, but it may also be more powerful. Like I said, it can like devastate opponents. It can like stand up to Superman's heat vision. Sure, Mr. Freeze's cold gun can like shoot away cars, but even if we were assuming that they're around the same, Captain Cold has two of them. That's like twice the power. Twice the power in like one shot that he could just shoot at Mr. Freeze's shot. And that's extremely powerful. And like I said, he is quicker on the draw anyway. He might be able to hurt Mr. Freeze and freeze him before Mr. Freeze can even like try to do it. And even so, he can dodge Mr. Freeze's freezing stuff. Like, again, this is just stuff that I've seen Captain Cold do, and I just don't see why he couldn't do the same thing here. Plus, he is a good tactician, you know, he has been shown to have a, like, better strategy when he has prep time for it, but even so, he knows how to fight a fight. He's fought the Flash before, and that speaks volumes by itself. And some of you may not know this, but Captain Cold and Mr. Freeze have actually fought before. And while you can't use comic book outcomes as something for something like something for something like this, because you know that has writer influence and whatnot, Captain Cold did win, and he won by actually freezing Mr. Freeze. Now, while I do believe that Mr. Freeze would be more resistant to Captain Cold's attacks than Captain Cold would be resistant to Mr. Freeze's attacks, it's clear now that Captain Cold can freeze Mr. Freeze, and he will be immobilized. He was immobilized. There was a way how he got out, but it's not something that he'd be able to do like whenever he wanted to. Like I don't even remember how he did it, but I just know that it's not something like he didn't like break out or anything like that. Nothing along the lines of that. So you know, and he doesn't have like fire shooting out of his suit. Like it's not something that he would just be like the ice would melt anyway. It's not something like that. So clearly, Captain Cold has the potential to freeze Mr. Freeze, and it's just like while I do believe this fight could go either way, you know, Mr. Freeze might be able to get a lucky shot. I just feel that Captain Cold's technology is colder, it's more powerful, Captain Cold just seems to have more experience. I think the biggest advantages that Mr. Freeze would have over Captain Cold is his strength, his durability, and Captain Cold's tendency to use prep time and work with other characters. Well, when it comes to strength, as I said before, Mr. Freeze has rarely ever used his strength to his advantage, and Captain Cold doesn't like to get up close anyway. He likes to stay away, just like Mr. Freeze does. So it's very unlikely that they're actually going to go into like a hand-to-hand fight by the time that one of them is frozen. Second of all, the durability, like I said, Captain Cold is still able to freeze him. And he's probably, you know, and wait, actually, I'll get to this at the very end. But yeah, he is still able to freeze him, you know, it's not that his durability, like, completely takes away anything that Captain Cold can do, especially since his temperature can reach absolute zero. Like, it goes there, as opposed to Mr. Freeze's that just approaches absolute zero. And even though Captain Cold does work with other characters a lot, remember, he's the leader of the Rogues Gallery. And that's something, like, he's able to, like, lead the entire gallery. You know, he doesn't end up winning against the Flash anyway, but you guys get what I'm saying. And like I said, he is a tactician, and he's willing to change up his strategy in the heat of battle. So I don't see why he wouldn't be able to do the same thing here, especially just against some guy who's very similar to himself. And to other people he's fought, such as Heatwave, you know, just a guy with a blaster. You know, obviously, Mr. Freeze does have other armor, but you guys get what I'm saying. Another big thing is that, you know, Mr. Freeze, he relies on his suit in order... Oh my god, I said this was going to be a shorter episode. It really isn't. But, you know, Mr. Freeze, he relies on his suit in order to survive. And... you know, because Captain Cold has already called Mr. Freeze's cold gun sloppy, and because they fought before, would it be so much as a stretch to say that Captain Cold is well aware of Mr. Freeze's condition? That, like, if he just, like, gets a very, like I said, his quick draw, if he gets a very quick, powerful shot somewhere that could, like, disrupt the suit or something like that, I'm not even sure if that's possible, but it might be, who knows. But, you know, Captain Cold might be able to disrupt it. He might be able to make sure that Captain Cold doesn't keep walking, because he might be able to, like, malfunction the suit. Which is something that obviously Captain Cold isn't armored or anything, but he doesn't have that weakness against him. So just because of all the advantages that Captain Cold has against Mr. Freeze, like I said, I thought Mr. Freeze would win when I first heard about this, because I just thought, you know, he's more popular and he's just stronger and more durable. But just looking at everything here, I just think of more ways that Captain Cold could kill Mr. Freeze than Mr. Freeze could kill Captain Cold. Captain Cold just seems to have a lot of advantages that I feel if he puts them all together, he'd be able to do something really mean to Mr. Freeze. Like I said, he could dodge his attacks. He could probably hurt Mr. Freeze with his absolute zero temperatures. Like, they would cause effect on him, and it just seems to be more powerful. And also, it can freeze entire skyscrapers. I should have mentioned that before. Captain Cold's freeze gun. So it's extremely powerful and extremely plentiful. So I just feel that's something that Captain Cold could easily do. And like I said, when it comes to the smarts, Mr. Freeze uses book smarts, and Captain Cold uses tactician and street smarts, which is just something much better when you're just in a one-on-one confrontation. So, in my opinion, the winner is Captain Cold. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this first episode of Who'd Win and Why Season 5, Christmas season. Again, you guys don't have to agree with me, and I assume that there is going to be someone who disagrees with me. If you think my reasoning wasn't good enough, or if you just think of maybe more reasons why Captain Cold will win, or if you think Mr. Freeze will win, please tell me, and tell me why, because I want to know more about these characters. And obviously, I'm not a walking encyclopedia, I'm not a walking internet source, I really don't know everything about these characters. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. If you guys like this episode, please give me a like. Comment down below what you want to say. If you could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. I make these videos pretty regularly. I'm going to start making them more regularly. And, you know, if you want to know what the rest of the season looks like, please make sure you go see my order and schedule video for Who'd Win and Why Season 5, because it'll tell you everything you need to know. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I really hope you agree, but if you don't, that's fine. Just tell me why in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And next time on Who'd Win and Why, we got Iceman going up against Killer Frost. See you all then.